All right, there is big changes brewing in the Boise real estate market. I've got the data through the end of April 2025, and inventory is starting to move. And if you want to find out what this means for you, if you're considering buying, selling, or if you currently own real estate in the Boise area, then watch the rest of this video. All right, we talked about inventory changing. Let's dive into the numbers. Just a reminder, if you're new, this red line represents active listings, and it's showing essentially month over month, right, for the last year or so. So we ended April 2025 with 1,093 active listings. Now, month over month change, that is 28%. And year over year change, that is 30%. So we have some pretty dramatic moves in inventory. Okay, so let's talk about absorption. Well, month over month change in pendings, it's up quite a bit. We have 614 pendings versus 496 pendings. So that's good news. We are seeing more homes go under contract. And then if you look at close, we have 500 versus 425 month over month. Now, year over year, 500 in April 2025 and 508 April 2024. So we actually closed less homes year over year, not by a ton, but 1.5% or so. And then if you look at the pendings year over year, we had more pending this year than we did last year. Now, is it reflective of the amount of extra listings we have? Not entirely. We have year over year 30% more listings. Now let's just look at how much it is year over year in terms of pending. So if we do that, 614 divided by 566, we end up with 8.5% more pendings year over year. So we have 8.5% more pendings. We have 30% more listings. So that means as this inventory is creeping up, we're not seeing the amount of sales creep up at the pace of the inventory. So if we back out a little bit, I'll show you this months of inventory as a whole. You can see down here at the bottom, and if you can't see it very well, I'll just tell you what it is. It's 2.3 months supply. So that supply is actually up 27% month over month. So because we were at 1.8 months supply this time last month. So what does this all mean? Well, if you're looking at things on a national perspective, there are markets already who are having pretty significant issues. We've seen a lot of softening in major markets in Texas area. So Austin, Houston, Dallas, that kind of stuff, San Antonio. We're seeing major inventory increases in Florida too. And these were kind of the safe haven markets that you saw a lot of people who are maybe wanting a little bit different political environment. They're moving away from Washington, Oregon, California, even Colorado. They were checking out Boise. A lot of them were checking out Texas. Some were even checking out Florida because they were looking for a change in their environment. Now, those markets are softening. Boise hasn't quite softened to the level that those markets are. If you go look at the inventory levels in Texas and Florida, you'll find out that they are dramatically higher than we are here. And they're actually seeing it in their pricing too. Their pricing softening. So what's happening in the pricing here in Boise? Well, if we zoom in on this bottom chart here, this was actually up last month. So we saw that actually be up the same exact time last month. Let me take a quick peek and see if I can pull it up for you super fast here. Maybe super fast here. There it is right there. All right, so let's see, what was it actually at last month? So it was up 0.1%. So it wasn't up dramatically. It was up 0.1%. And of course, now we are actually even. We're dead flat on the year. So we have not seen any increase in value this year. If you come down to the average sold price, we're at 610,121, which you already saw. The median sales price is actually the same as it was last month, 524,900. And you can see the median pending price is $560,000. So, that's showing a little bit higher. One anecdotal thing, for whatever it's worth, is we're actually seeing quite a few multiple offer scenarios. Now, it's at specific price points. So it's typically, homes that are priced right in highly sought after price points. So like under 500,000 anywhere in the Boise area, Ada County. We're seeing a lot of activity on those and a lot of multiple offer scenarios. In fact, one of my good friends just entered into his third competing offer for the same exact buyer within about a week. So this happens. We're seeing escalation clauses on some of those. Now, what are we seeing on some of the higher price stuff? You go into the luxury market. We'll dive into this luxury section here on this chart. You can actually see that months of supply are up quite a bit. So, if you get over 1 million, you're 4.2 months of supply. We haven't seen a number that high in quite a while. If you get 1.5 to 2 million, you're at 7.3 months of supply. And then, of course, over 2 million, you are at 10.4 months of supply. So what does that mean? Well, a balanced market is typically somewhere between 4 and 6 months worth of supply. So if you have more than 6 months of worth of supply, that ends up being a buyer's market. That means there's a lot to choose from, and the buyers can come in and try to negotiate. If you have less than 4 months supply, that's typically a seller's market. And that means the sellers have more buyers to choose from, so they can negotiate a little bit more on their behalf, and they can usually hold their price pretty steady. So if we look at what's happening to the prices here, you get over 2 million, you're seeing from the original list price to the actual sold price, 96.5%. And of course, as you go up higher into the price points, you can actually see the original ask versus sold goes up quite a bit the closer you get, or the lower purchase price you get. It also is reflective of the amount of inventory. So, the less inventory you have, then the higher you're going to be able to hold to that price. So what does all this mean? Well, here's what it means to me. And this is what I would be advising my specific sellers, and I'm educating my agents on the City of Trees real estate team with, is you need to absolutely make sure you're pricing it right. So what does pricing it right look like? Does it mean just having the lowest possible price out there? No, of course not. It means you do all of your research. You study the market. You compare not only what has sold in the past, you compare what is pending, and you compare what is active. What's your competition? I think in some scenarios for these luxury homes, you have to compare what would it cost to go buy a lot and build the home and get exactly what I want. I was just helping an agent out last week who, had a client who wanted to be at a certain price point, 2.6 million to be exact. I comped it out because I was helping this agent out, and I think it needs to be somewhere between 1.7 and 2.1 million. In the neighborhood they're in, the highest sold price ever was 1.6 million. And they want to list their home at 2.6 million. And just to be frank, they'll never get that price. Now, some agent will take that listing. Maybe even the agent I was talking to. They'll take that listing and they'll put it on the market. And then that seller is going to be like, what the heck, my agent's terrible, or the market's bad, or blah, 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 blah. No. Actually, you just didn't do enough research, or you were so sold on your own home that you decided to keep it because unless you got 2.6 million, you wanted to keep it, which is totally fine. If you think it's worth that, even though the market doesn't state that it is, then you get to keep your home. So do yourself a favor. You're out there, you're obviously watching this video, you're curious about pricing, or you're a real estate agent who's trying to educate their clients on pricing. Do yourself a favor and hold the line. Truly understand how the value was established. And in some of these unique properties where it's like, oh, it's on an acre and it's over a certain square footage and it's this certain look and no one else can get it. So we have this unique thing. I'm not going to give it away because I don't want anyone to be upset. But what I want you to understand is, like, I did the math. I found a lot in the area. I, know what it costs to build if I went and hired a builder to build exactly what I want. And I could come up with exactly the same amount of square footage on the same exact type of lot for about $2 million. But I'd get everything I want. So why is someone going to come out there and give you an extra $600,000 for a 30-year-old home? Answer is they're not. Now, does that mean there's no chance it could sell? Probably not. It's probably not going to sell. But stranger things have happened. You never know. I just think you recognize, what are your goals? If you're a seller, what are your goals? Your goal typically is to sell your home for the highest amount you possibly can in the least amount of time. That's typically what you want to do. Now, why are you selling? You have to ask yourself that. And there's so many people that, they're selling because they want a better life for some reason, either a different location or a bigger or a smaller home or something that's really going to improve their life. And a lot of times they tie that to the financial piece, but usually that's just an emotional tie to a financial piece. So agents or clients who are watching this, just recognize it's good to get an outside perspective, have them come in with data and their expertise. Obviously, you can hire your favorite City of Trees real estate agent. They look at this data every single day, and they can help you navigate pricing your home correctly. Because if this inventory situation continues to rise, I can promise you, home prices will come down. And if you're one of the people who has to sell, but you tried at a higher price, you're going to end up selling for less than it was even worth originally because you tried the higher price. Because if inventory keeps going up like it has been the last few months, you're going to start to see some softening of prices. And I can promise you want to be one of the people that sells today, not 2, 3, 4 months from now, if it continues to go this way. Now, buyers, what does this mean for you? Okay, you're a buyer and you're considering buying in this market. Well, have an agent that understands what they can negotiate. Have an agent that understands what the direction of the market is, in terms of inventory. And even more specific, what we're not talking about is we can go to your specific market. If you're looking specifically in the Eagle area, we can say, well, what's gone on there? Look, Eagle's gone up almost 50% in inventory month over month. Now, year over year, it's only up about 10%, but month over month, that's a huge jump, which means you're going to have more opportunities to look at homes and more opportunities to negotiate. And again, if that trend continues, you're going to even have more. So you can probably be a little more picky or be a little more aggressive in your negotiations. Now, hire an agent who knows what they're doing. Right? Everyone knows an agent. I know you have an agent right now. You probably know 10 agents right now. All agents are not created equal. So some of them are studying this stuff and doing everything they can to look out for your best interests, and others are just kind of getting hit with the punches as they go out. They're practicing with their clients and failing forward, and they don't even know that multiple offers are happening under $500,000 or $600,000. And you could lose out on the home of your dreams if you don't have the right agent who understands what's happening in the market. So, all that said, big changes are happening. Is this a long-term sustained thing? Time will tell. It's looking like we are moving in the direction of having more inventory, which is good, I think, from a stabilization standpoint, but it's going to impact pricing. So stay tuned for next month, and let's see if this trend continues. Thanks so much for watching.